everyone, my name is Ganga Rawat, working as an assistant professor in RPIIT Medical and Technical Campus. My topic for today is conductors and their types. So basically here the question arises, what conductors are? Now conductors are basically those substances which conducts electricity. And here gases are the exceptions. Why the gases are the exceptions? Because when conductors they conduct electricity, there is a strong reason behind that. That is, the ions or the molecules comprising the conductors, they transfer the energy from one molecule to another. So, for example, like over here, this is a liquid. Here, the movement can easily take place and they can easily transfer the energy from one particle to another because there is some space. Whereas, in the gases, even in solids, when we consider this like thing, so they are in continuous touch with each other. So when they vibrate, they pass on the energy. But in cases of gases, so the molecules they are too far from away each other, so that they are not able to pass on the energy to the other particle. Therefore, for the typically for the conductors, so gases are the exceptions. Just because they are ions or the comprising particles, they are too far away from each other. Now, on the basis of the deposition or the decomposition of the electricity, they are based into two categories. One is the electronic conductors, the other one is the electrolytic conductors. So basically, in electronic conductors, without decomposition of substances, means the decomposition doesn't take place over here. Then what is the reason behind the conductance? Behind their conductance? The reason behind the conductors is the flow of electrons takes place. Means in these things, the movement of electrons takes place just because decomposition is not there. So only the movement of electrons takes place, and the examples are all the metals, graphite and a little bit more substances. Therefore, because it comprises of all the metals, therefore they are also known as, these electronic conductors are also known as the metallic conductors. When the temperature, so in their cases like electronic conductors, when the temperature rises, the flow of conduction decreases. Why the flow of conduction decreases? Because with the increase in temperature, like whenever you will increase the temperature, it will have an inverse effect on the flow of, it will be like inversely proportional to the flow of conduction, because it will render the effect, it will render the movement of the electrons. Whenever you will increase the temperature, it will provide more energy to the system, and therefore it will oppose the movement of the electrons, and thus with the increase in the temperature, the flow of conduction will decrease, and therefore we can say that the temperature has an inverse effect on the flow of conduction. Whereas talking about the electrolytic conductors are those conductors in which the deposition takes place, means the deposition of substances takes place. So why the deposition of substances takes place? Because the substances they undergo deposition and on depositioning their conjugate ions are formed. And due to these movements, the movement of these ions only, this electrolytic they work as the conductors. Followed by, so what are the examples of this? Acids, bases and salts. So we already know that when an acid, say it's the H2SO4, it will dissociate in the form of hydronium ions, 2 of hydronium ions plus the sulfate ions, means these are its conjugate acids and conjugate bases. So these ions, when they are decomposed, their movement only is responsible for the conduction in case of electrolytic conductors. And over here, with the increase in temperature, the increase of conduction, it increases the flow of rate of conduction. Why? Because the more will be the temperature, the more heat will be provided to the system, and therefore it will liberate more number of ions. And where there will be more number of ions, means the more number of ions will flow. And with an increase in the number of ions and their movement, it will increase the rate of conduction. Therefore, we can say that temperature in this case is directly proportional to the rate of flow, rate of conduction, we can say. Rate of conduction. Examples are HCl, means all the acids, H2SO4, CH3, COH, etc. Now, I would like to ask one question from you, that is, why we as humans, we get shocked on coming in contact with electricity. So the answer, the reason behind that is that our body, like the metals, we play as a role of conductors because there are several electrolytes in our body. So just because of the movement of those electrolytes, our body work as conductors, and as soon as we get in contact with the electricity, the movement of ions in our body takes place and we ourselves become the conductor, and therefore we get a shock in coming in contact with the electricity. I hope the content for today is much more clear to you.